Welcome back, everyone. And today's a very excited day because I have a guest for the first time ever.
I'm very excited.
This is my husband, CJ. We have been married for 24 years. Now we have 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell them about our kids, what their ages are?
Cora's 22 and is in college. Abby's 20 and she's on a mission for our church. Isaac's 16 and then Emma's 13, almost 14.
Yeah. So
I got them all right. It's pretty good.
So we've got, we're parents of teenagers and adult children, and we have been a team for all these years. And as I've been thinking a lot about homemaking and what it means to be a homemaker. We've lived all over the country, all over the world, actually.
Well, if you count Western Europe as all over the world.
Yeah.
We've lived more places than most.
Yeah, we've lived in 12 different homes, I think. And CJ's in the Air Force for many years. He joined the Air Force to go to medical school. So we have the opportunity to live lots of different places. And our family has had lots
many
of
places
different...
we never thought we'd live.
Exactly, yeah. And it's been an adventure. But I wanted to talk today about homemaking, like what it means to be a homemaker. We've lived all of these different places over the years, and our roles have really changed a lot over the years and how we've kept our home. And so I thought it might be interesting to just share a little peek inside of our marriage and what it's looked like over the past 24 years and how we've made things work and how things have ebbed and flowed and changed over the years, and just give a few insights for that. Sound good?
That sounds awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm totally in.
Okay.
I'm all about it.
So, in the early days when we were first married, we made a very intentional choice. I made a very intentional choice that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, I mean, we had that. I still remember that conversation because, you know, for me, it was always kind of, I guess I didn't have any expectations. I was raised very traditional, but I also just had a lot of women in my life who didn't fulfill traditional roles as well. So for me, it was very much a shared decision.
Yes, there was no expectation. It was something we talked about, and I really felt strongly that I wanted to stay home, which was kind of surprising for me because it wasn't something I had always wanted to do when I was growing up. But when it actually came time to have kids, I decided I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So our roles were very traditional at the beginning, meaning that I did a lot of just the daily house stuff. You know, you were at work, you were going to medical school, you were gone a lot.
Yeah, residency was the worst, but yeah.
Yeah, our oldest daughter was born the same week that CJ started medical school. So it was very busy, and I did the cooking, the majority of the cleaning, all the kids stuff. So I did most of the stuff. The kids' schedules, kind of kept track of all that stuff. But when you were home, when you were around, you would always help out. And kind of the main things you did were...
Yeah, I mean, I always tried to do at least the dishes when I was home, because I felt like there's at least, then I could just like keep myself in the game, I guess. But I did the bills, and I did the auto maintenance and yard care. And
yeah, and you'd help put kids to bed.
And I'd put the kids to bed
when you would get home.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember it was like particularly my intern year, which is traditionally a very trying time in medical training. But I remember we lived in Mississippi, and the girls shared a room. They had 2 little beds, so I'd go in there and sing to them, laying between their beds, and then I'd often fall asleep there. It's good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Oh, you were so tired and exhausted. So I really had no expectations for CJ helping at all because honestly he wasn't around that much. But the reason I felt like that worked for us was because you always did help when you were there, and I knew you would help if you could. So
I mean, it sounds really funny. You're like, the magic is in low expectations.
low expectations, that's a magic.
But I think it really worked for us because because I wasn't home, I didn't feel like I was in a position to demand anything.
Yes.
Right? So I was like, if there was dinner, great. If there was clean clothes, great. if
not,
those things weren't there, I was kind of like,
no problem.
them's the breaks, like
Yeah.
I'm not around. I can't do it for myself. So who am I to get in a tizzy if it's not done? And, I think a lot of grace both ways because, there's the roles that I had chosen or that we had chosen together, I didn't do those perfectly either. And so I think, the magic of low expectations really helped us.
It really helped us in the early years when we were just drowning in children. Really. But it really did go both ways because you didn't have any expectation of the house being a certain way or dinner being on the table or things like that. And I also didn't expect you to do a lot because you were home a lot. So the great thing about that is then when you are home, when he did step in, it was just an added bonus. And so it was great. So that was the early years for the first long while of our marriage, probably the first 16 years
while the kids were all young.
Yeah. And then we moved into this kind of middle year phase where the kids were starting to go to school. I decided to pursue some of my dreams. I started exploring art. I found surface pattern design. And that was really the time when I started working for myself, started pursuing a career. So I still did it from home. And so these are the middle years when we were trying to figure out, okay, what does this look like with me now?
Yeah, and I think at first we didn't really change anything.
Right.
And I think that really just didn't work because I feel like you didn't get the time and mostly, it wasn't really time, it was more just the time, the headspace or the I don't know, the ability to really dig into what you wanted to do. And I think that hampered you for a couple of years.
Yes,
Took us a little while to figure out what was going on.
I was so used to doing everything that when I started to start my own business, I just was trying to do both. I was trying to still do everything that I did, plus carve out these other extra hours to do the work I was trying to do. And we realized that wasn't working very well. So I started giving up. We had some family conversations and I started kind of giving away some of those household tasks that I had been doing for a long time.
And, I think our lifetime of low expectations helped us through this point because I think I think it could have been easy for me to be resentful to say, well, I'm still working full time and now all of a sudden you're going to dump all this stuff on me. And you could have said, well, I'm trying to follow my dream and you're not helping me. And we just didn't, I think, we've just really, there was just a lot of grace in that time, I remember. And it did take me a little while to figure out, how committed she was to it. And once we got there, I think really the conversation just kind of went naturally, we kind of it kind of flowed, like I started, I took a different job, which helped me where I'm home more on balance.
Yeah.
And I have less engagement with my job when I'm not actually at work. And that helped tremendously because it allowed me to step up, and I took over the cooking for at least a year.
Yet.
Oh, we
not
didn't,
yet.
We're not there
So
yet.
we're still in the middle years. So these middle years.
You gotta have low expectations.
These middle years. So I gave up the laundry. We started having all the kids do their own laundry. Right. You started doing a little bit more. We started sharing more of the cleaning. Mm-hmm. What else in the Chaska years?
Yeah, we started sharing more of the cleaning. That was probably the thing that we did. That probably was the least well handled because,
we're both not.
There's only so much time, and And I like doing the taking care of cars and how home maintenance and those sort of things, but like cleaning bathrooms and whatnot, I certainly can and have done it, but it was not something that I wanted to do. So I think some of those things kind of suffered a little bit. And that was part of the process as we were trying to figure out where to go.
Yeah, and I was willing to let some of those things go too while I was trying to build a business. Also, CJ is amazing at organizing. He's really good at organizing. So a lot of the storage areas or the mail or anything that needs to be organized.
If there's a part of the house
it's him.
That's not beautiful, like a basement or garage, I own it. It's mine. It is my space, and I make it beautiful in its own way.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, and I'm so grateful for it. So we had our different tasks, and then when we moved to this, around the time we were moving into this house, so the past 3 years, I would say, we moved into another phase where I really went from this wanting to pursue something, halfway doing it, to actually working full time. And this is when I started working for Bonnie Christine, and I was pursuing my own business and also working full time for another person's business. And so then things really changed a lot.
Yeah, that's sorry, I didn't mean to skip that, but that's when I took over the cooking for the first time, which I'm more of a baker myself, but it was something that we did. We did a meal plan, and I did the grocery shopping. These are things I'd never done primarily in our family. I mean, I've certainly gone to the store, but I was making the list and doing all this stuff. And then I also started taking over, a lot more of the kids stuff, and kind of managing their schedule, which is a lot easier when they're older, because
we have less kids.
And we have less kids.
Yeah.
So it's not that big of a deal, but somebody does need to manage the household schedule, and that's something that I've done more of. Although I'd say we kind of combo it now, and it seems to work. So,
so I want to talk about the cooking for a minute.
Let's just do it, honey.
Let's do it. Let's
dive
into the cooking.
Know.
People want to know. So I've always enjoyed cooking. It's been something that I've done our whole marriage, but after 20 years of cooking, I was so burnt out. I was so burnt out. I was just done. Like, I did not want to cook. Plus, I was working full time. I just felt overwhelmed. And so CJ took over the cooking. The way we could do that is that we got a meal service. We did HelloFresh. And it worked out really well. And CJ discovered he enjoyed it. Something he had never done really in our marriage much. But he really enjoyed the cooking. And so I gave that over to him. Excuse me. And it was great. It gave me some time. But at this point, so that was wonderful. He took over the cooking for a while, and then I got to a point where I had given up so many of the household tasks that I was feeling a little disconnected from the family. It was weird. I was feeling burnt out and a little sad. And so, because of lots of different things, but I decided to take back on the cooking about, how long was it?
6 months, maybe?
Yeah, maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I decided I wanted to take on the cooking again. We got tired of HelloFresh, and I was ready. I felt refreshed.
That was a great break.
All the old,
really was.
Yeah. And then a magical thing happened, because when I started cooking again, like, it had been so long since we had a lot of our old recipes that they started tasting so good again. And it gave me this renewed strength. And we're also in this interesting phase with our children where they're we have 2 left at home, 2 in college, and the 2 left at home are very independent. We don't see them a lot unless, they're teenagers. And so...
Well, you see them if you seek them out.
Yeah, if you go find them.
You don't find them unless they're hungry.
Yeah,
as I'm
exactly.
Sure.
So when I took on the cooking again, it felt like this really beautiful way to nurture the children again, and you. Well, it was a really beautiful way to feel like I was serving my family again, because I had missed.
I think you missed that connection that brought to your relationship with our kids that are still at home.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then also we got the house cleaner. I mean, it wasn't,
Huge.
it was not, it sounds very la-ti-da, a house cleaner, but it was, and that's always the way I looked at it because I was raised very practical. And I still, for me, it's, if I can do it myself, then I'm going to, rather than pay someone. But Tessie had a different background. So
we had a house cleaner when I was growing up. She just came once a month and it was wonderful. So I've been wanting to hire a house cleaner for
you started talking about it when when I was an intern, and I was
so
like,
long.
How?
And so finally, when we moved to this house and when I started working full time, and you took on a lot of the household stuff, but you were also still working full time.
Like,
we were both working full time, so it was too much.
It would have been too much
to do both for us. And so we hired a house cleaner.
This has been,
and it was
life changing.
It was
she does the toilets and mops the floors. Those are the things
She's
that
amazing. Bathrooms and
that
floors
don't get done,
and changes the sheets on the beds. So. And comes every 2 weeks. And as soon as that first time she came, you were a believer, I think.
Well, yeah. Well, it's just after, because I had just done, she kind of came to us right in the middle of me cooking, and I was kind of stretched pretty thin.
We were both burnt out.
It was just kind of too much.
So
that was a really fortunate move, and fortunately, I had the means to. Not everyone does, of course. But in the end, even if we I mean, it would be worth quite a bit. Let's just say the house cleaner would be one of the last things to go if we ever had to make hard choices.
I wish we would have hired one earlier.
We probably should have. Yeah. But low expectations, my friends. You just gotta roll with it.
Our house is much cleaner now with house cleaner.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big organizer. I can't have a disorganized house, so I handle that, and I don't want anyone to do that for me. So I like that. It works out really good.
Yeah.
So we're in good. Our home management is really, it feels really satisfactory.
Yeah, it's feeling good now. I feel like we've found a good balance. So I feel like the lessons that we've learned is really, there's a few different ones. First, communication, just being able to talk through things. Anytime one of us was feeling really burnt out or needing extra help, we would talk through it and make a plan together to figure out what was going to work for our family.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, just not expecting or feeling that you're entitled to a certain level from your partner, or whoever is in your life that shares a home with you. And instead, trying to meet people where they're at, trying to give people grace. I mean, all those things really they just worked for us really well. I mean, because, I know it's just what I do. A lot of times I spend a lot of nights, currently I spend a third of the month in the hospital at night, a third of the nights I'm in the hospital. And so, I'm just not around, and that could build up. I'm sure that should Tessie choose to build up a lot of animosity or abandonment about that, she probably could. And so I think, I'm very grateful, and it's just the flexibility, and it's evolved and it's changed, and every iteration has worked in its way and not worked, and we've been able to work through it. And so it's not like a right answer, but for us, it's really been, I think those, communication, setting your expectations a little lower. And then I think the third thing, the most important thing is the ownership that I feel of our home. And I've always felt this way. I've always felt like our home, making our home a nice place to be is as much my job as it is anyone else's.
Yeah.
And for me,
which is unusual.
Yeah, I don't know.
When we were first married, at least 25 years ago, definitely.
Well, I'm an obstetrician, so I don't speak to a lot of men in my life. But I don't know how many men feel that way, or if they even think of it, or if it's a conscious thing. But for me, it's always been like, this is my home. There's nowhere I'd rather be than home. And I want to help make it a nice place to be.
Yeah. And now we've found this really beautiful system of kind of whoever can do it at the time does it. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, it's really
when it
evolved,
comes to
and it works
daily
really well.
Dishes and laundry, you still probably do 80% of the
Yeah, and I
laundry
try and be
right
in
now,
charge
but
in charge of the laundry and make sure the sheets are clean and all that
Yeah.
stuff, so that we can, keep it so that. I mean, we do still have kind of roles, I would say, but
we
they're
have our
much more
different
flexible
things.
and there's
Yeah.
much more overlap than
Tons of
before.
overlap. So yeah, if someone can't, so CJ does most of the laundry, but if he's working a lot, if it's a busy week, I'll do the laundry. We kind of go back and forth. So that's some of the, that's a little peek. That's a little peek into our marriage and just
Kind of a long peek.
what that's looked like. That's okay. What that's looked like for us over the past 25 years. CJ, would you consider yourself a homemaker?
I mean, you know the answer to this. Yes, I do. I do consider myself a homemaker. And it's funny because I had a conversation. So the ladies that I work with, they'll ask me, well, what's your wife do? And it's always a little hard to answer, but I think we know where she's going. And the other day I was talking to one of my colleagues who's a full-time obstetrician, gynecologist, and she has young children. And I said, she's focusing on homemaking and what it means to make a home. And she looked at me like, and I was like, what do you think about that? And she's like, well, I'm not a homemaker. And I just thought, well, what? Yeah, of course you are. Of course you're a homemaker. Like, how could you not be? And so I don't know. I think that term, I think, there's some societal negative connotations to it, and I reject those because, I mean, geez, the home is, it should be the place you want to be all the time.
Yeah, there's nothing like being at home. We spend our days at work or going on vacation, and it feels so good to be home, to come back home. And so it's so powerful. And I really want to redefine what it means to be a homemaker, because honestly, I think we're all homemakers. Anybody who wants their home to be a place that they love, that they want to be, then they're a homemaker. It has nothing to do with working inside the home, outside the home, gender barriers. We can anyone can be a homemaker. So any last thoughts you want to share before I tell them about our our exciting event coming up?
No, I just think, again, the other thing I wanted to say is, like, homemaking can be an intentional activity, right? Like the home that you build can be done with intention, and that is regardless of budget or means or time. You can do intentional things to make your home the place you want it to be. And I think for us, who we've moved around like a million times, and we've always, we start over, and it takes time, and it's just, but you can make intentional moves, even small moves, that can make your home the home you want. And that's what it's all about, just keeping at it. And our homes are always lovely to be in, but it's always a work in progress. Tessie's always thinking of things that she can do to make it better, to make it more comfortable, to make it more inviting.
I love that. I love how you said it's so intentional, because it doesn't happen by mistake, right?
It doesn't just happen on its own.
It doesn't just happen on its own. We have to be really intentional about the home we're creating, about the environment, what kind of home we want to be. We've been intentional about wanting to create a home that our kids' friends want to be in, and also be really intentional about a home that our adult children want to come back to. That's been really important to us. So I love that intention. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. This was a fun little peek, CJ. This is out of CJ's comfort zone. So
it's so fun for me. I'm having a great time.
Thank you so much. Oh, honey, you're moving the camera.
I got too excited there.
But I have a mini course coming up. I am so excited for it. It's starting on January 23rd. It's a free mini course. It's for 5 days. It's called The Modern Homemaker, Redefining What It Means to Make a Home. And we're going to have 5 days of lessons, live Q&A sessions. We're going to explore what being a homemaker means to you and kind of creating your own plan for your home. So if this sounds sounds like something that you're interested, I would love for you to join us. The link will be below this video. And it's free. So
Good times.
So come join. So, all right. Thank you so
Thanks, everyone.
much. Bye.
Bye.